Today I'm going to be amending the soil into raised beds into the greenhouse. The things I'm going to be using is natural blood meal. I'm going to be using Master Blend, a premium fertilizer. Is really exceptional. It's a 4-18-38 tomato formula, but I use this for all my vegetables. It has a nitrogen, 3.5% nitrogen. It has ammonia nitrogen. It has phosphate, potassium, magnesium, iron, copper, different types of magnesium. So it's a very good blend to be able to put into your garden or to your raised beds. I'm also going to be using organic bone meal and a little bit of calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate I like to use on squash and tomatoes and corn, things like that. Now I'm not going to put too much nitrate because these already got a little bit of nitrate into them. But I would like to amend my soil because this greenhouse has gone through spring and summer, and I'm looking at the plants and some of them growing faster than the others. So that's telling me that there is a little bit deficiency into the soil, but it's also time to go ahead and amend the soil. So we're in October the 2nd or 3rd, and so we're heading right into fall, or into fall some people say, but we're, our weather here on the southeast coast is going to be like 83 today. So into this bed right here, I've already got it amended. The next step with this, if I have any garden soil or raised bed soil, anything like that you can get from a big box store, now's the time to add. When you see that your beds are dropping, the soil is dropping down, you can see it kind of, you can see on the edges that it's dropped down, it's a good time to add. Now this is a good time to add because you don't have much planted. Now in this section right here, I have garden peas planted to see if they'll come up, see how well they'll do. I never grow them into the fall, so it's just an experiment. But right here, I wouldn't want to add any more garden soil or raised bed soil at this point in time until they came up just a little bit more. Now, the natural blood meal is a 14-00, so that's nitrogen. Now, anytime you see organic, it's going to mean that it's going to take time to break down. So it's going to take 3 or 4 months for this bone meal and this blood meal to break down. That means that by springtime, or right before springtime, it's going to be ready for the spring. It will give some nutrients to your beds or your garden. I've never had any complaints about it. I see some very good results when I use this. A lot of times I'll take my plant, dig a hole, and put some bone meal and blood meal down. I put a little bit of soil in there, and then I cover it back up, and then I plant my plant and then cover with soil again. And I've always had good results. But for actuality, for complete breakdown, it's going to take about 3 months at least. But the thing of it is that we're amending the soil. We're putting back what's already been taken out. We want to get back into the soil what's already been depleted. So here, my first step is, even though I got garden peas planted down here, I want to go ahead and get my nutrients back into this ground. So I'm going to take the blood meal and I'm just going to sprinkle it in here. Even though this is nitrogen, I don't know if these garden peas are going to come up, but I won't. There's been beans here. There's 2 times of beans planted here, so I can pretty well tell that the soil is starting to get depleted. So my aim here today is to show you that you need to amend your soil to put back for future growth that will benefit you now. Now, I'm going to be using bone meal. Beware. Be sure to keep your doors blocked off, keep critters out, because you're dealing with blood meal and bone meal, and blood meal and bone meal attracts animals. I keep mine blocked off. And all I do is just sprinkle it in here. So that's going to help out for now a little bit and later on. The master blend, I like the master blend, even though it says 4 tomatoes, 4, a little bit of nitrogen, 18 and 38, potassium, phosphorus. The soil needs potassium and phosphorus. You see that it is blue. I'll break that one up right there. And I'm just going to sprinkle it in there. Now, and I've already added some to my tomato plant here. You see it's just sprinkled around into this bed. Pepper plants like calcium nitrate. They like the master blend. And for the calcium nitrate, 15.5, which is high in nitrogen, no potassium, phosphorus. It's good for keep from blossom end rot. Now in my greenhouse, I've never had any blossom end rot so far. I mean, I've had very good success with tomatoes. This tomato plant is not far from going out. It's been here for a while and it's still producing. Those will probably be the last tomatoes, even though it's got some blooms on them. I might leave it here for a little bit, see how well it does. When it comes to the calcium nitrate, you're just going to sprinkle it around. And say these onions here. These onions are grown from seeds, and they're probably, they came up and then they died back. I planted them in by seeds in August. They came up with the heat. They kind of died back. It was an experiment. But what happened was the bulbs was developed, and at the right time when everybody's planting seeds for their onions, or planting onion seeds around September the 15th here on the southeast coast for the fall, these bulbs they started springing up. So the bulbs were developed, and they actually, that's why they're so big, and we're only on, I believe it's October 2nd or 3rd. So onions like nitrogen. And since these plants are older, as you can tell, we're going to give them some nitrogen to boost that bulb. You know, it's going to boost the foliage. They're flopping over. Don't worry about that. When they start flopping over, leave them alone. You can cut some of this off if you want to put it in a stir fry, if you like to do that. The pepper plants, they like some calcium. Now calcium nitrate. So now beware that when you're dealing with nitrogen, it's going to produce a foliage. So you don't want to be growing a whole lot of leaves. You want to grow fruit. You want to get some fruit onto your plant. That's why you're growing it. So my next step here, now if I have some garden soil or some, you know, potting mix or something else to add back, it's about time to add back to these beds right here to get this level back up a little bit. It's not much, but I like to, you know, sprinkle around a little bit of you know, like raised bed soil. It's got fertilizer in it. Maybe it's got a 9-month, maybe Miracle Grove. Something's got like 6 to 9 months fertilizer into it. I'll sprinkle over, if I sprinkle it on the top. If I have plants around here, I'll just sprinkle it around it to add back to this raised bed with also nutrients for the future. Right now I don't have any, but I want to go ahead and get some nutrients into the soil, especially when I have plants over here growing. And it's just time for them to get some really good nutrients into the soil. As you can tell, that bed over there has dropped down, and so later on, the plants are small, I'll be adding some more soil to this that has a type of fertilizer already in it to help these plants out. My next step here, say if I already had some garden soil or raised bed mix or, you know, something like that with a fertilizer already, a little bit of fertilizer into it, I would just sprinkle it around, like I said. And then my next step is, all I'm going to do is give it a water. Now I'm not going to put too much water on this right here because I got my garden teas in here, and I don't want my seeds. I don't want my seeds to rot. Kind of went away from the camera because my rooster was making this crazy noise. So when you got animals, you kind of watch, you know, what's going on with them when they make certain types of noise. So this hose right here is putting out really too much water. So what I need to do is go over here and find out, you know, if it's got a kink in it, there it is. It's not spraying. You don't want it gushing out. You don't want to produce a puddle, but it's got a kink in it, and it's not spraying like I want it to spray. We want just like a shower. Putting out too much water. Sometimes it'll do that, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, usually it'll kick back in. You see, I got a shower. Sorry, I'm not doing very good with the camera this morning. One thing, I'm holding the camera and with my hands and not with something on it to help me out. So I'm trying to watch the water. I'm trying to make sure I'm not putting out too much. And we got temperatures at 80 degrees today. And so, you know, I'm going to go ahead and give them the morning watering and get back around here. And that's pretty much it. You see the blood meal, you see the bone meal. Well, you see the bone meal, you can't see the blood meal. But I'm just watering it in. It's time for the morning watering. Here is some onions coming up that I raised up from seed. That's what I'm talking about with the bulbs, and they spring back up. There's some down there. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go around here and water throughout the greenhouse. Since I've got my nutrients in here. You know, my little plants. It's just time. The reason I'm saying right now is a good time. One thing, you're heading into fall. You had spring, you had summer, but I got some plants. Some are bigger than the others, and sometimes you'll have that you know, you might have a weaker plant, but some are bigger than the others. And I'm like, okay, I need to go ahead and get some nutrients to these plants because some are growing bigger than the others, and I want them, and that's good because, you know, that means that all the vegetables, the fruit is not going to come off at one time. And it'll kind of be spaced out where I can eat it, you know, not all at one time. Which if I do, I'll just, if it comes off, I'll just preserve it. But you see that one, it's not looking so good. It might not do very well. I see some insect issues, and so sometimes the insects will attack just one plant, which is, in a sense, is kind of good because it's keeping away from the other plants. But then you got to be aware because they can just devour your plants overnight. So here is the onions that I grew from seeds. So with that, I did sprinkle some calcium nitrate around these onions also. The master blend has got all the nutrients it needs. It's kind of like miracle growth. The blood meal and the bone meal will give some good color, some good fertilizer, and it'll create these plants to pop. But like I said, because it's organic, it does take a little bit longer to break down, which is kind of good because you know, then it means that, like I said, if you get a bag of, you know, raised beds, a mix of garden soil, something like that, it's got fertilizer into it. It's kind of like the bone meal and the blood meal. It's in there. So the blood meal and the bone meal is in here. It'll give me a continuous little bit of fertilizer as these plants grow. Now let me get back to watering and give these plants some water because we've got temperatures of 83 degrees here today, and I didn't get to water them yesterday afternoon. When it comes to the raised bed, I like to water it in the morning time and the afternoon. I look at the soil and see if it needs it. If it needs it, because, you know, the temperatures bounce here on the southeast coast, then I'll go ahead and give it some water. When I'm dealing with my seedlings, then I definitely like to water it in the morning time and to the afternoon, for the fact that overnight there's not any hot temperatures. It gives the chance for these plants to, you know, be more stable and to grow throughout the night, because that's usually when plants grow, is throughout the night. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you on to the next video.